is with me as always. You see how I had to switch that up, but I had to because I'm on the opposite side for some reason today, which is different. I feel like
Yeah, please
like
groovy.
I'm in your house today, and we did a little room swap. Coach, how are
Yeah,
you? How's
I'm
your week
good.
been?
Well,
How's the family too? How's
yeah,
mom?
I say this a lot. So with the illness kind of running through the house, it was a slow weekend, but it's all good now. I think everybody's back to work, so
All good, good,
all good.
good.
Yes, I've spent a few days camped out here in the office to try to stay well, and I seem to have dodged a bullet. So it's pretty good here. But it wasn't the most exciting weekend of my life. How about you?
No, we it was low key here too, pretty laid back, so nothing fun or exciting. We did have obviously because of the holiday on Monday. This week is for most people, it's one of those when the kids don't have school, it throws everything off, and so it's one of those kind of weeks that I feel like I'm a day behind on everything because I had to do a little extra dad time. But other than that, no, yeah, it
And
was pretty
I spent
relaxed.
the weekend as a deliverer of Gatorade and popsicles for the most part. So, just constant trips to the other side of the house as a delivery guy.
Good. Well, I'm sure you took good care of her. So, and speaking of care, I guess we'll go into who our guest is. So, honestly, excited to have him come out. When I first met Lee, so he came to BNI. He is a fellow BNI member of another group. It looked familiar. And then he said he had mentioned where he was in one of the bigger groups, but was wanting to visit some of the other groups because he was going to put a few other members. At one point, he had three team members in three different groups. And he said the only thing that he ended up going down to one was he was just too busy. They couldn't handle all the work. That's a good problem to have. I would think, right? Anybody watching, if you don't have that problem, try networking. And after you kind of hear Lee and I think what did he say? 25%.
25% of his business from networking. Yeah, that's pretty good return on investment.
Like 25%, y'all. So if you want to understand how to make that work, be ready for our next guest. I can't wait to bring him up. He is the owner of Two Maids. We actually talked about him and this is him and his team and his son, which we'll talk about here as well. But he one of the things that really blew me away, besides him wanting to be a part of and kind of expand, and he was looking to go into growth mode again and build the book of business. So he was going to join another group. Was their what they the way they do business with and we talked about this with their ranking, with the allowing the scoring to kind of dictate how their employees get paid. And I thought, oh my gosh, like that's commission. That's what I've been telling everybody. Like if that
Yeah.
just is how everything worked, you'd be surprised how much gets done when it's really more results that pay than how long you're on the clock.
It gives you a little skin in the game.
It sure does. And so I can't wait to talk to him about that. I really think after talking to his recruiter, who's part of the team and has visited the group, and him, they both have the same kind of vibe that that ranking, like we talked about, where it could have almost a double-edged sword, where it could just be a bad customer. It's not usually the case, and it's almost like they feel more inclined to because of
To
the
be
score.
kind.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I love it. Again, I think it's so smart. I think it's clever for Two Maids. So shout out to y'all.
And I love
But
franchise journeys. So just talking about the path of from corporate to franchising it's always interesting to me. So this will be good.
it will be. So again, y'all, we're bringing out Lee Sheridan. This is Lee. Actually, before we get this started, I'll show this last picture of Lee. But this is the famous center where me and my family have had some. I've shared some stories of where the fountain is, where they do all these cool events here in Virginia Beach. And again, it's so different of an area. because there's all these little towns, kind of centers like this. But this is one of the biggest ones where they do these events, and again, so cool. But really, can't wait to have them out. So, Coach, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's get this thing started.
Let's do it.
You get one heartbeat song. Take it seriously. This is your masterpiece. Don't forget to dream and taste the colors in the air you breathe. It's your masterpiece. Go ahead and feel it all. Don't stop till it is beautiful. Don't stop till it is beautiful. Don't stop till it is beautiful.
All right, again, everybody, welcome to the Robin Hood Capitalist. And like our theme song says, don't stop till it's beautiful. You do have one heartbeat. Make this, it all starts with today. So make this be the day one. Instead of one day, make this to be day one. But, and that's kind of what Lee, I think, is doing with Two Maids. And so I'm so excited to bring him out. And we got to talk, so he shared a few videos. One of the videos I'm going to share, he talked about they actually came up with this during COVID as kind of like a thinking outside the box and that extra step. And we talked a lot about that with John, and that was a lot of your guys' success over at Liberty and kind of with those things. And so I want to share this to kind of be his own intro to bring him out.
This is Lee Sheridan, the owner of Two Maids in Amapa, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, and Norfolk, and I just wanted to thank you for considering us for your cleaning needs. We're happy to provide our customers with an exceptional and informed cleaning process that you would expect from the fastest growing cleaning company on the South Side. We understand how busy and hectic life can be, so we take pride in giving you a little bit more time back in your day in a safe and disinfectant environment. Thank you for your business, and please tell your friends about us.
And Lee, thanks.
Hey.
Here you are. It's like magic.
Yeah, that video seems like so long ago. It was we were in the throes of COVID. You remember that little thing where we were going to be back to work in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? So
Yeah.
that was we lost a significant amount of our business, and we had to either hit fight or flight, and we took the fight path, and that tended to pay off for us significantly. So it's great to be here. Thanks for bringing up such an old video that brings up such scar tissue. I appreciate it.
Oh, we got to start with the pain. We like to get right to the deep parts. Forget the surface level stuff. Let's go right to the pain. No, and so I guess with that, share your story and your journey of how what led to Two Maids and your backstory, if you could.
Sure. So I'm from the Northeast. I'm from Connecticut, and insurance capital of Hartford area, and graduated college, and I got a job at Chubb Insurance as a claims trainee. So I bounced around the country for a while. Started in Connecticut, then I was in New York for a little bit, New Jersey for a little bit. I was in Virginia for about a year, then went out west. I was in Phoenix for a couple of years, then got back here in 2001 when I got married. And I stayed in the insurance industry till 2017 and just burned out. I left as the national strategy manager. I did auto strategy, and I did international salvage. And, I traveled a lot. My kids were young. My wife was in corporate America as well. She traveled. And it got to the point where the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. And I was working too much. I was miserable. The corporate world had changed dramatically, where it seemed like the easy stuff was getting hard to do. And I had a really hard time leading in that environment. So literally figured one day in a meeting in home office that I was done, and called my wife and said, today's the day. Called the CEO of Two Maids at the time and said, today's the day. And that was it. Took the red eye home, resigned. And
Wow.
yeah. And then that was January of 2017. Two Maids Virginia Beach opened in April. And then we expanded in 2020. I started another business in 2019. Bought some commercial real estate in 2021. Moved the operation, all the businesses here. And here we are in February of 2024. And it's been a good decision.
In those early claims years, were you traveling to those different places actually as a claims adjuster, or was it a different role?
No, it was a different role back then. We did a lot of local investigations. So I would handle pretty much Fairfield County to Westchester County, New York, and just investigate liability claims, commercial liability, homeowner liability, things along those lines, and do investigations and interviews, take pictures, evaluate losses and scenes, and try and identify value and negotiate and settle claims.
Got it. I was an auto theft investigator for a while for the insurance side. It's not as much fun as it sounds.
No, but
It doesn't sound like fun.
That's the best way to sell a car nobody wants. Just pretend like it's stolen.
Yeah, there was some interesting recorded statements in those days. So
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
so let's. I guess DJ, you want to jump right in it?
Yeah. Let's go into Two Maids.
Let's talk about this path, because DJ is famous for telling folks if it's Sunday night and you're already queasy about Monday morning, it might be a better path for you. So in your statement there, you said that you immediately called the CEO of Two Maids. How did you know who to call?
So we had been in discussions. I had done probably what many people do when they're looking to go down the franchise path, and I got a franchise coach, consultant, and there's an evaluation process that you go through to identify what might be a good fit for you based on your background, based on what you want to accomplish, and things along those lines. And we honed in on home services primarily, but definitely the service industry. I grew up in the service industry. My father had a catering business and the restaurants and things like that. So I grew up in that industry, and I just got to know it well. I took a 20-year hiatus or so and went into corporate America, and I decided to jump back into my roots. But so I had been in negotiations, or discussions, I should say, with a couple of different franchise concepts. One of them was going to be commercial cleaning, which I quickly kind of evaluated and said, listen, I don't want to get calls at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night that I can't get in, or the alarm's going off, or whatever. It's just, that's not the shift I want to make in my life. So I landed on home services, residential cleaning, and Two Maids just had a great concept. They had a great concept. The CEO and I, at the time, his name is Ron Holt. He has since sold the franchise to an organization called Home Franchise Concepts. But Ron and I hit it off. We just hit it off. We saw eye to eye. We had similar ambitions. So he, kind of told me when we had a first conversation, he says, you're going to buy a franchise. I said, well, we'll see. And now that's a funny story. We tell people, 7 years later. But when I say I picked up because what I was going to do is I was going to buy the franchise and be an absentee owner. So I was going to hire a manager, keep my day job, and essentially, because when I was not traveling, I was working from home. So it would have been easy for me to set up shop in the office and work from there, so to speak. So that was the original intent. After a couple of things that happened in corporate America, I just decided I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't I couldn't split my time. I wouldn't be doing the business justice, nor would I be doing my stakeholders justice from a corporate perspective. So when I said I made the phone call, I mean, I called them and said, listen, the plan we originally had is out. I'm going to be owner operator. I'll see you in Birmingham in 2 weeks and we'll lock everything down. And then I called my wife and said, hey, I'm done. Today's the day. And she wouldn't be able to do it without her. So she was incredibly supportive. She was ready for me to get out of corporate America. Absolutely would not be able to do it without the support from my wife and kids and the balance of my family. And because I had that, I felt very comfortable pulling the trigger. And like I said, the gamble paid off. We're doing pretty good.
That's a great story. Now so every franchisor has their method that they use for wooing new franchisees and that getting to know you process. Did they have sort of a process of like a discovery day and franchise development reps, or did you just somehow know the CEO and get immediately hooked up with him?
So I did go through the process, but I was the 35th franchise to open, right? So when we talk about franchise growth and franchise development, put it this way, 8 years later, 7 years later, we're at 150 units. So it's good growth, right? I mean, it's not incredibly rapid where you can't keep up with it, but it's definitely a manageable growth rate. So back in those days, there wasn't a franchise development team. It was the CEO, the CFO, and a handful of other folks that you had a direct line into. So it was pretty easy, when we had conversations, bring up their screen and show me stuff or email me stuff, and we'd go through it. Because of my background, I'm not really the kind of guy that can get wooed, because I've been jaded and I've listened to people tell me stories for a long time, right? So you're not going to woo me, but you can give me facts and you can give me information that I can digest and hopefully make a decision. And they were very transparent with that. They gave me everything I asked for, and I did spend some time in Alabama with them and side by side with their attorneys, and it just seemed like the right fit for how I'm built and how this area is built, right? So our demographics here, it's military, right? You're not going to woo a lot of military folks, right? It's just give me the details. Let me know what you're going to do. Let me know how it works, and I'll get out of your hair and let you do your thing. So just a good fit all around.
That's awesome. Now, when did you get through the discovery part with other concepts, or was this just the one concept that you looked into?
I eliminated all the other concepts before we went to the discovery day, and mainly because they were very salesy. And I don't like getting sold. So they're very salesy. I don't want to say pushy as much as, not necessarily, giving me the political answer on everything, not the right answer, right? Just so it was very, and I was able to see through a lot of that. And a lot of those franchises were very, very well established, older established franchises. And while that can be beneficial in certain circumstances, I liked the fact that this was new, this was young, this was pliable, this was growing. And I felt just my background, I might be able to contribute a little bit more to that.
No. So those other options, did those come from the same consultant? You mentioned a franchise consultant, and I know Coach is huge on that. I know he had used franchise.
Yeah. So there was, when we talk about in-home things or services, there is a, kind of in-home respite care, right, for seniors that are trying to age at home. Then residential cleaning, there was like a garage, remodeling type deal. So all of these were, for the most part, like I said, at-home, in-home services. The senior care thing, that's a tough gig, right? Because, client acquisition could be easy. Client retention is extremely difficult because they die. And that's a significant hunk of revenue that goes away immediately. and it's a difficult thing with regards to dealing with families and whatnot. And so that just wasn't something. And when I look at the demographics of this area, really wouldn't play into that. If we were looking maybe a little bit further north up the peninsula, Williamsburg area, Yorktown, it's a little bit more of an aged population. Not so much here in southeastern Virginia where we are.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I went through the process with one of the garage renovating franchises before choosing to stay in my lane, but it was an interesting concept, I thought, and a valuable service. It just wasn't a fit for me.
Yeah, and it's and I've got friends that own those, and they do fantastic work, but it's work. It's tough, and understanding the labor market here and the challenges that I have. And granted, while we're doing indoor labor, we're not lifting heavy things and grinding concrete floors and lifting cabinetry and install. It's a different skill set that it just was not something. I'd done that before. My father owned a bunch of homes, and we renovated a ton of homes. And while I enjoy doing it when I know it's not my career on the line. So it just wasn't a good fit for what I felt I could offer our community.
Very good. Was there, when you were looking at, and this is when we get people who are franchisees on, a lot of times we're talking about that transition from signing the opposite side of the paycheck for maybe the first time. How was that transition of going from a long time in corporate to being the guy?
So I equate it, and I've said this before, that it's when somebody feeds you every 2 weeks and they give you enough food for 2 weeks and then some. You get comfortable. You get extremely comfortable. When you have to track, hunt, kill, clean, cook, and serve your own food, you take a different perspective. And that was the perspective that I don't want to say it was difficult for me to adjust to, because I came in with capital and I came in, understanding, the numbers and the basics and all that stuff. But I had to go out and for lack of a better term, kill, right? So I had to hunt for my customers. I had to land them. I had to retain them. I had to do the same thing with our staff. So it didn't take long for me to realize, what it was going to take to grow a business, and what it was going to take for me to understand the market, outside of the domestic market that I was in. I had to understand my local market, which, despite living here for 20 years, I really didn't live here. I was gone. I traveled 70% of the time. So I had to relearn everything that I thought I knew, but I was really just a tourist in my hometown for a long time. So that's where I started getting into networking, so I could understand the business landscape here. Then I got in with the Entrepreneur organization, and I learned, kind of who the elite people were here. And I got some significant training to help me, with some core principles of business ownership, entrepreneur, owning, several businesses, being an entrepreneur. And that's what really helped me close the gap, because I used to have people that I reported to and people that reported to me. I knew what I was supposed to be doing every day. They would hold me accountable. You go from that to nobody holding you accountable.
Yeah.
Nobody, right? The only thing that held me accountable was the alarm in the morning. Am I going to get up or not? So that was a significant shift. So when I was able to get into BNI and learn, from other people and network there, and then get into EO and have them hold me accountable, that's where things really started coming together. And I started understanding kind of what I needed to accomplish on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual basis. And that's when we really started to take off.
When you first started, were you actually, in addition to the hunt and the kill, were you actually doing the cleaning as well?
I did the cleaning for probably about 6 weeks. And a lot of it was, I wanted to be able to say, I did it, I've been there. And so I learned the system. I trained a bunch of people. Home office came and trained me. So I wanted to have that credibility, and kind of see what pitfalls you have in the field, see what the customers say, see how the customers interact. And I did it for about 6 weeks, but then I learned that I'm better off. I'm not good at cleaning. I don't like it. It doesn't bring me joy. There's people out there who really love it. It's a release for them. Stress reliever, brings them a ton of joy. I'm not that guy. I realize that I am better behind the desk. I realize that I'm better working on the business versus in the business. And I was able to surround myself with people that like going out in the field and enjoyed, giving their energy to other people on a regular basis and seeing those results on a regular basis. I like to see the results on a monthly basis, quarterly basis. And we were able to separate that. And I've got a tremendous team now that, they kill it every day.
That was a great lesson. For some of us, cleaning is stress inducing, not relieving.
Not that guy.
Yeah, I'm not either.
No.
I think I jumped in over top of you, DJ. What were you going to ask?
Oh no, honestly, I don't even remember now. I was afraid you were going to go there. I don't even remember. It kind of came. It was something he had mentioned at the time. He was kind of relating something. And I just thought it was very clever what he related it to. And kind of was going to go there.
Yeah, one of the, like I said, that structure that I left, I didn't realize how important that corporate structure was until I was out of it. And then it was pretty apparent that I was kind of, I don't want to say floundering, but what am I going to do today, right? We just opened. Yeah. It's not like the phone's blazing off the hook. It's not like I got,
there you go. It's like you're reading my mind, Lee, but that's exactly what you're talking about. And I think that's the second phase of the world that is kind of the missing that people don't understand. Because what you explained is just what college was. Like high school, there's the teachers and your parents telling you, but college, you have to make yourself go. Like the alarm clock goes off and you either decide, am I going? Or do I not?
Yeah, we're really going to do this.
And do I want to do this? And that's kind of like that. Yeah. How far can I bend these rules? But really, I think that's the difference between, like you're talking about, the handcuffs still of corporate America or the corporate job and the freedom, again, of now you are responsible for every minute. You have freedom, but you don't do anything for long.
Well, you'd asked earlier, about signing the front of the check versus back of the check, and there's a lot of accountability with making that shift, right? So, and I say that often, that our decisions collaboratively as a management team, have an impact on the well-being of our staff as well as their families. I can't put it any plainly than that. I mean, the decisions that we make with regards to marketing, with regards to client acquisition, who we're going to bring on as a client, who we're going to fire as a client, who we're going to bring on as an employee, those all have an impact. And if, God forbid, I can't sign that check because I've made bad decisions, that's on me. If there's an issue because I hired the wrong person and they maybe didn't do a good job in the field, then again, that's probably on me. Or is it a training thing, right? So you got to look at these things through different lenses. And at the end of the day, it does reflect on us and decisions that we make as leaders. And that was a pretty big concern of mine. I mean, we run a significant payroll. And one of the things, and my manager, Sandy, who's been with me for 4 years, she's helped me grow this business tremendously. She knows it better than I do now. I could not run the day-to-day without her. She's been fantastic, and she's far surpassed my knowledge of the day-to-day. That's why usually they don't like me answering the phones or booking jobs anymore. But one of the things that she said recently, which was pretty profound, was we've had people who have bought houses. We've had employees that have bought cars. We have employees that have put their kids through college. Those are decisions that we've made that have been favorable. And allowed us to reward them with opportunity. We've had people who have advanced through the ranks here and gone from cleaner to front office to field manager and things like that. We're a cleaning company. Right? Is there really going to be a track to leadership? And there could be, right? So Again, those are all habits, I think, and I would say bad habits back then, but they're probably habits that we learned in corporate America that, if you want people to stick around, you got to give them those opportunities and engage them on how to take advantage of them. And so I think we've done that well.
Love it, love it. We can't always make somebody rich, but we can do the things that are in our power to enrich them and enrich their lives and their families. I think that's a great mantra that you've got. With from where you started, we kind of stopped at the very beginning, but that picture the DJ shared, that's a big team you've got now. How big
Yeah.
is the staff at this point?
Yeah. I'm
So
gonna
right
share.
now, yeah, that was taken a couple months ago. Right now we have a total of 26 technicians in the field. And then I have an HR or staffing specialist, DJ that you met at the BNI. That's Melissa.
Yes, Melissa. She's awesome. by
Yep,
the way.
she's great. And then I have Sandy, who's our operations manager, and Heather, who's our ops assistant, who manages our CRM, as well as our customer onboarding. We have a customer feedback tool, so she manages that. So she wears a bunch of different hats, and she does our newsletter. She does a great job with our newsletter. So everybody has their role, everybody has their responsibility, and what's good is that there is a lot of overlap, right? So everybody can kind of do everybody else's job. So we have that level of redundancy, which allows us to have flexibility here.
Mm. And you've done just a great job. Again, Coach, you were like reading my mind. I was going to that picture before you even talked about it, because I wanted to say, you had mentioned now a few times about the people surrounding you, and even you're with the support of your wife and family is really that's what it takes. I mean, I think especially this journey, like you have to find those people. You definitely have to find those people, and you've done a great job. So and it's a testament to your success. So again, kudos to
My
your
questions in my mind are always going to the support you got from your franchisor, because I've seen the good, the bad, and everything in between with franchise system.
yes.
It sounds like you received some really good support to help you get started. Can you kind of go through what maybe someone else should be looking for when they start this process?
Yeah, sure. Get a mentor. Get a mentor that's already in the franchise. I have all the support I need. I just need to ask for it. I have all the tools that I could possibly have at my disposal. I just need to ask for it, or I need to know where to find it. So I think establishing that, and I'm a member of our franchise advisory council.
Nice.
And that's one of the things that we're really pushing for, is to make sure that as new franchisees come on board, they have somebody who was in their shoes, a couple years ago, that can be an advocate for them, answer those questions, because, you have the tactical things that they have to do, but you also have the strategic things that they have to do. So when you looked at it from a tactical perspective, the day in, day out grind of running your operation, that's a lot different than making sure that you're planning on how to do your SEO for the next couple of months, and that you're going to run a holiday special, and who's your target demographic, where do you live, who's your target demographic, how do you market to them. So as somebody who I didn't know how to do that as a claims guy in corporate America, how am I supposed to know? I don't know what SEO is, right? So
Yeah.
understanding that is a big deal, and it's incredibly intimidating, because you pay a lot of money into your franchisor. Do you really know what you're getting for that money? Are they doing the right things? And the answer is probably not, if you're not engaged at the right level. But how do you know what the right level is if you've been open for a month?
Right.
You know what I mean? So having that advocate and that mentor is a big deal. So anybody who's going to start this training, I would just make sure that you have that individual. In addition to that, you have to have a network locally. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. You're not going to listen, my wife doesn't hold me accountable. She doesn't tell me get out of bed and go to work. She doesn't ask me how did we make any money today? Every now and again, she says, let me look at the bank account. But that's about it. She's got her job. She's got a career. She's not involved in this at all. And that's by choice, and that's by design. She's trusted me to make this decision. She's trusted me to make several other business decisions. And knock on wood, they've all panned out today. But I think having that local network, whether it be a BNI entrepreneur organization, there's several 212 organizations, having that so you can be around like-minded individuals is incredible. Because if you're running your shop by yourself and you go home, and I mean, I remember talking to my wife, and she, it's in one ear and out the other. It's not her world, I mean, so
Yeah.
having a mentor within the organization and having a network outside of the organization to help you learn about the business climate in your area are probably some of the biggest recommendations I can give to anybody.
Oh man, that is pure gold. And anybody watching this, or if you know anybody in business and they seem like they're struggling, I was just talking to somebody earlier about this, and I said that's the problem. Most small business owners, they don't realize that everybody's struggling. You just need to talk to the other person and find out what they're struggling with, and more than likely, like, they're going to help you figure that answer out.
Yeah.
So mentors, I think, is so crucial, and the networking. Obviously, we talked. I've talked like crazy about that, and that's kind of what changed my world here. Going from in Cleveland my whole life, and here I've only been here a year, and I probably again, from, like you said, the understanding of networking. So I want to get into that. When did you actually first get involved in BNI? When did it go to the 3 to really, I guess, what was your slow progression to getting to 3 groups like you were at one time?
So it's actually funny because I joined BNI. So I was shopping for office furniture for my office. I wasn't even open yet. I was shopping for office furniture, and the woman who I spoke with owned the office furniture outlet here in Norfolk. And she's like, well, what do you, what's your office? What's your business? And I told her, and she's like, hey, I'm a member of BNI. We don't have a cleaning company in there. Why don't you visit? Why don't you be my guest? Sure. What's BNI? What are you talking about? So, I mean, I was just that green, right? I had no clue. So,
That's wild.
so it was Liz Boatwright. She invited me, and I went to the meeting, and I signed up, and I didn't have any employees yet. We just got furniture. So I signed up, and essentially I kind of delayed for a couple of weeks, just kind of get up and running. And then I came in, and right off the bat, we started getting referrals, right? I mean, we had, loan officers, we had realtors, we had, you name it. It was a sizable group. It was probably about 30 people at the time. So right off the bat, there was no other cleaning company in BNI, right? So I was like the guy for like the area. So I'm like, oh, great. So we started getting business we could barely even handle. So that was unique. And then I actually started another business in 2019, taking care of Airbnbs. So VRBO, Airbnbs. I have another business called Beach Hospitality. We provide all the equipment that they need to run a short-term rental. I have a commercial laundry facility here on site where we turn and burn all their laundry, or they can lease my laundry. So essentially we started getting into that, and I started getting referrals from BNI for short-term rentals and Airbnbs and things like that. So that's when I said, geez, I got to get somebody else in another BNI. So I got Sandy in another one, and she got into my old one. I got into a new one. So we were doing that for a long time. And then I had somebody who was just kind of floating. I never put another third person in. I just had another individual that was floating and just bouncing around from BNI to BNI, and because they'll let you do that for however long.
Yeah.
And so then they would come back and say, hey, you should probably visit this one in Norfolk. It's a good size BNI. They're really fun. And so I visit that one. So I was bouncing around for a long time. And then we got overwhelmed. And then COVID hit. And so, essentially Sandy got out. We went virtual. And then thank God we're not, virtual. We haven't been virtual for a while now, but there's some that are either a hybrid or they're virtual now. But yeah, we still get, 20 to 25% of our business, depending on the season, from BNI.
That's amazing. So the companion business, it seems like that's brilliant. It's a natural fit for a companion to what you already do. Was how did that idea come about? Was that another franchise concept, or was it just a brilliant idea? How did that happen?
It was entirely by mistake. So
best plans.
It,
That's
it,
how they
it
all
really
start,
is.
right?
It really is. So we opened in April 2017. May of 2017, a guy called me and said, "Hey, I've got 4 Airbnbs at the ocean front. The lady that cleans for me flaked out, bailed out. She's got all my laundry. I got nothing, and I got people checking in a couple hours." So I chatted with him a little bit. I'm like, "What's going on? Tell me your story. Tell me what the deal is. Tell me what, you know." And so he told me, he's like, "I got these 4 Airbnbs," and he's like, I'm my back's against the wall." I said, "All right, man, I'm on my way." So I could run this guy over with my car. I had no idea who he was. Showed up he has 2 duplexes side by side. So I showed up, shook his hand, and I'm like, "What do you need?" He's like, "I got to go and buy sheets and blankets and towels and blood. Like, she's got nothing's here. She's got everything. She's not answering. She's gone." So I'm like, "All right, I'll clean the joint." So I went in, cleaned it. He went and got, all the stuff that he needed. Cleaned all the units. I cleaned probably 2 of them by the time he got back. I think he was taking his time because he didn't want to clean. And then he got back, we cleaned the other ones. We made all the beds, we put the towels out. We got the place ready to roll. We were done just before people were checking in. Then we went and had a couple of drinks and kind of like, "So tell me about your business and I'll tell you about my business. So let's see how we can help each other out." So he said he had those 4. He was going to buy 2 more. I said, "All right, well, let's figure this out. What do you need? Let's see what I can do for you." And so we figured it out. We laid out some prices and laid out kind of a process. And that was that. We had those 4, and then we added a couple more from him. Then he told some people, and we added a couple more, and they told some people, and we added a couple more. And then I put a page on Facebook, and then I created a website. And by early 2019, I'm like, "Wait a second, this is a whole other business. I don't want to pay royalty on this, right? And I got to run the money through something else." And I had already set up an LLC, but I wanted to essentially, really kind of lock everything down. So we created another business entity called Beach Hospitality Services, which is beachhospitalityva.com. And we take care of Airbnb, short-term rentals, and essentially we provide all the equipment that you need if you want, right? So I have all the linens, towels, blankets, duvets, duvet covers, bath mats, shower curtains, paper products, soap, all that stuff. You could rent it from me and we'll set your place up, or you could use your own stuff and we will, take the dirty stuff, put out the clean stuff. We bring everything back here. I have a commercial washer, commercial dryer, commercial scale. So we essentially turn and burn everything. We do that based on a set amount per pound. And we've had people buy investment properties sight unseen. I've hired people to go in and furnish it. If your HVAC goes out, I'll get somebody in there from probably B&I to fix it. If we've had people kick in doors, blow out windows, we'll get it fixed so you don't miss any revenue. I'll get that turned around as quickly as possible. You're going to pay for it. But so we've been helping people run their Airbnbs since 2017, 2018.
Wow.
And I'm pretty sure if we were to look up entrepreneur or entrepreneurship, that story is the epitome of an entrepreneur. You saw a problem and you said, I believe I can solve this. That's a great story.
Yeah. And it was funny. And this guy, we did business for years. And then, he wanted certain things that we just didn't do. And he just got a little bitter with the staff. And, we decided to part ways. But since then, we manage several properties. We run 7 days a week in the summertime. And we're doing over 1,000 pounds of laundry a week. It's an operation.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that is such a great story. Oh, I can't wait for Cast Magic to see what it pulls from that. My goodness. This last 15 minutes, obviously, Coach, if you had anything you wanted to go to, I didn't want to cut you off, but
no, I know where you're heading, and I don't want to miss that. That's 15 minutes worthy for sure.
Yes, it is. I want to spend the last 15 minutes on. So I pulled the video. I believe it was from your guys' Two Maids website. And so I'm going to show this video, and then I really want to talk on that. And I want to really, was it a deciding factor in any way of you getting involved with Two Maids? So let's show this, and then we'll talk about it.
After each cleaning, Two Maids and a Mop will ask you to rate your satisfaction level on a simple scale from 1 to 10. That number and that number alone directly impacts the compensation level for the two maids responsible for cleaning your home. I love this because it encourages every single employee to care deeply about my personal satisfaction. I've yet to find another cleaning company that allows my feedback to determine its employees' paycheck level. My name is Christy Denard, and I am an actual customer of Two Maids and a Mop.
Now, the tagline is so fitting, a maid service worth talking about. That is something worth talking about. And that, the only industries that I could think of besides sales with commission kind of being that ranking, if you sell, you're pretty good. If you don't, well, you're messing up something. You're missing something. Serving, obviously, you get a good tip. You probably did a good job serving, but there could be the other edge. How much did that play factor into you getting with Two Maids? Was that part of Two Maids starting, and how has that kind of played out for you guys?
Yeah, that was a differentiator, in the industry, and Two Maids really kind of, made that happen. So yeah, that was huge with regards to me coming on board. It was a big selling point for me because I truly believe in, hard work earns higher wages. The better you do, the more you earn, the more ambitious you are, the more you'll make, right? The more outgoing you are, the more opportunities you'll get, right? So that resonated with me right off the bat, because like I said before, I grew up in the service industry and I knew, if I did a really good job and I got a really crappy tip, that stings, right? So that to me really resonated. So I want to do better, to get a bigger tip, right? So that was a big deal for me because, and again, you look at our community here, it's blue collar, military, right? So, honest pay for honest work, and I really enjoyed that, and it really makes the relationship between us and our customers very sticky, because they'll send, and really what we're talking about is an NPS score, right? So there's a survey that goes out to them, say, hey, would you recommend us to your friends and family, and then give us a rating on a scale from 1 to 10, and you can provide feedback. So they get paid based on that response. If they get a 9 or 10, they get the top of the scale. If they get anything below, then they get a different rate. We follow up on every single review that comes in. If you give us a 9 or 10, great, we appreciate it. Thanks for your feedback. Because how many people do those things and you never get a response, right? You'll do it and it goes into a black hole. You don't know if anybody ever reads it. You get a response from every single one of those. Have the response to every single one. If it's an 8 or below, awesome, you're probably going to get a phone call. Like, what happened? Give us the details, unless you put that information in the feedback where you can do the rating and give us some feedback. But we call on every single one. If people do not give a rating, right? So we send them that text and they don't give a rating. We assume that they were content and the staff gets a rating of a 10. We'll never shortchange them, ever. If they rate them a 1, and we call and say, hey, what happened? Like, that's pretty bad. And they say, they missed all the ceiling fans. Well, then we're going to put in context, right? If they were in this house for 7 hours and the house has 4 ceiling fans and the only thing they're complaining about is the ceiling fans, I'm okay with that. I think they did a damn good job. We'll go back and get the ceiling fans. But listen, they were there for 6 or 7 hours. You're talking about 15 minutes of work that they screwed up on. I think we're focusing on the wrong thing, right? Let's focus on that 6 hours and 45 minutes, not this 15 minutes that they didn't hit it, right? So we will manipulate that based on that conversation with the customer. We've got some customers that, they always give a 6 or a 7, but they never leave. They're content. They're just like, yeah, I think they could have done better. Okay, where? So we can tell them where to do better, So, but that's our NPS score, and we hover anywhere between an 87 and 90% NPS, which is good. I'm very pleased with that. But that was definitely a selling factor for me because it makes sense. It's simple. It makes sense. And really, and like I tell my people all the time, hey, listen, if you don't like your paycheck, look in the mirror. You'll find the problem. And they accept feedback and they get all the ratings. The staff gets all the ratings once it comes in. They have an app and they can look and see what the rating was. They are absolutely invested. If something comes in, I'll get a text. Hey, this person gave me a 6. What happened? So they're invested, and those are great conversations. And we talk. We have a morning meeting every morning at 8:05. We go over the good, bad, and the ugly, and we read most of the good ones. The bad ones we'll bring in. We'll do one-on-one. But at least it's a good opportunity for a discussion.
I've got a couple of questions. So each customer can be so different in what they expect. How do you set expectations? And then my second part of that is how does it affect your ability to hire? Like, where does this conversation come in the hiring process?
So, we do group interviews. I'm a big proponent of seeing how people interact around other people. I don't like canning somebody in my office and asking them questions because they're going to tell me what I want to hear. So we do group interviews, and usually it's Melissa and I, and there'll be 2, 3, 4, 10 people. And people, you can see how they interact. And because we have core values and we hire and fire based on our core values,
nice.
Usually we can tell pretty quick who's going to be a good match for us and who's not going to be a good match. So we explain how they're going to get paid. We explain the training process. And we explain it's commission, but they have 100% control over it. And really when we boil, because people like to hear, well, what am I going to get paid per hour? Right. And we put it on a board. We have a huge whiteboard where we capture high paid, low paid, average paid, high per hour, average per hour, low per hour, high tips, average, low tips. We don't put names. We just put numbers. So really, and I'll just point to the board and say, listen, if you look at the board this last pay period, and these are all pre-tax numbers. I don't know what you owe Uncle Sam, not Virginia. So, that's your business. But pre-tax, we got somebody making a high of $2,200 every other week. We got an average of $1,600. We got a low of like $1,200. Everybody has the exact same opportunity to earn that $2,200. It's about their pursuit of it. So you need to determine where you want to fall on that scale. That's not me. That's you. So that kind of separates the wheat from the chaff, right? So then people are like, well, you know what? I'm a lot better sitting behind a register for $15 an hour. That's my speed, right? So, because the faster you are with better quality, you can do 3, 4, 5 houses a day and kill it. Mm-hmm. Or you're slow and you only want to do 2 houses or 3 houses a day. Okay, that's fine, but your paycheck's going to reflect that. So we have that conversation right off the bat. So, Coach, your question with regards to how do we differentiate with regards to customers, we fire a lot of customers.
Yeah.
And for no other reason that they're just not a good fit. There's some people who want a housekeeper, right? They want somebody to come in. They want them to start the laundry. They want them to start dinner. They want them to organize the shoes. They want them to, hey, listen, that's not us, right? We're licensed, bonded, and insured because I spent so much time in insurance. I know what we can and cannot do. I know what we will and will not do. So there's certain things we just can't do because it's going to jeopardize my people or it's going to jeopardize my business. So we just don't do it. So we know who's a good fit. If you're a hoarder, we're not going in your house. If you got 30 animals, we're not going in your house. We can't win, right? I'm not going to get to a fight I can't win, and I'm not going to send my people in either. So we're pretty specific and picky with regards to who we bring on board because they have to respect the job that we're doing. They do have to honor my people, right? Because we're doing something you don't want to do. Please treat us with respect when we do that. And if there's something else that you'd like us to do or we didn't do it right, we're more than welcome to take that feedback. But there's a way to deliver it. Again, I grew up in the service industry. I just, and there's a lot of people who treat waiters like crap, that we serve people who recognize the value that we give them and what we do for their quality of life. We know who they are. They are generous. They are wonderful to my staff. And if there's something we get wrong, they are all in to help us get it better. But again, we've had to kiss a lot of frogs over the years. Figured out, who our target demographic is, and we serve them well.
And
the core values help. The core values help you a lot. That creating your culture and having values to make those decisions. A lot of business owners forget that part of the equation, and it should be step one.
Yeah, and it's in that picture with the whole team that DJ brought up. If you want to bring that up again, you see the banner in the background.
Yeah, definitely.
Have fun, work as a team, make mama proud, and talk about it.
Nice.
Love it. Yeah, and core values and your ideal avatar. So you're definitely honing in on my language too. I mean, you should have a ideal avatar for your customer, for your employee, and they should all be the same because they'll all reflect the same. Yep. And once you figure that out, it should be a lot easier and it's such great advice for a lot of small business owners if they just figured that out. And instead of trying to do this corporate America race to the bottom for pricing, just focused more on who that avatar might be and give them the extra value. And,
well, it's hard in the beginning, right? It's hard in the beginning because you're going to take any knuckle dragging fool that'll pay you.
Yeah.
Right. And you'll take anybody who will work for you. Right. It's like, I've got to run this business. And then you become, really, you become this person that's, I don't have a business. I'm just a pawn to either my customers or my staff. And hey, maybe I got some staff that they're really not a great core value fit, but can I really get rid of them? Because then I'm not doing my customers a favor. But am I doing my customers a favor by keeping somebody who really just fogs the glass? That's it. They're no good at anything else. So it's that balance that you need to strike. And I'm not going to lie, it took us 3-4 years to really strike that balance where I can come in one day and somebody is just no longer a good fit. And I say, listen, it's not working. Best of luck to you. But this isn't the place for you. I'd have to cut off my nose and spite my face quite a bit. Right. And then I got the rest of the staff saying, what are we going to do today? We're going to figure it out, right? We're going to figure it out, but we're going to be better because we eliminated that staff member, or we're going to be better because we eliminated that customer. And I'd rather have 2 customers that are going to pay half of what that person's paying than that person who's going to be so demanding that we can never reach that pinnacle of what they think is at least base level for them, right? So that's where we really, I don't want to say we struggled, but it took some time to understand, you know what? We are going to be okay if I let this customer or this individual go. We're going to be fine because customers will keep coming, employees will keep coming, and I'm going to continue as a leader to get better at figuring this out. And I think we've been able to be successful there.
And I guess most importantly, what title have we given Sonny the mascot there?
Sonny the Wonder Dog.
Sonny the Wonder Dog. What C-level title does Sonny get in the organization?
We'll bring him up.
He's like I said. I'm married with 2 daughters. I've got several women that work for me. Majority women. We got a couple guys. So years ago, my wife, asked me if I could do anything different, what would I do? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I really don't think like that. And she's like, well, what would you change? And I'm like, we got cats. I don't like cats. I'd rather have a dog. A couple weeks later, she shows up with him, and she says, here's your dog. I said, no, it's not my dog. It was a hypothetical conversation. I also told you I needed a new truck. If you put the dog in the truck, now we're talking. But so I said, I don't want a dog. We got busy lives. Like, we can't. And she, the woman who she adopted her from was there, and the woman was mortified. She's like, you guys didn't talk about this? And I go, no. My wife said, yes. I said, no, we had a conversation in a bar in Charlottesville on our anniversary weekend, and here's the dog. So now, there he is. So now this guy is, his entire life, he's been no more than 10 feet away from me. And if I leave him at home, my wife will drive him over because he won't stop crying. So he's Yeah, and he sits in the front seat of the truck. He just sits like a man sitting in the front seat and just looking out the window, you know. So yeah, so that's my life. I've got 30 women and a dog.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for giving us your time and sharing this with our audience. If you could share with where they could find you, share the websites again of both your businesses, and I'll throw up some of these pictures while you're sharing that. And then, Coach, if you want final thoughts, and we go from there. But thank you again,
sure.
man.
So yeah, I can be found. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me at Lee Sheridan. You could also find us at twomaidscleaning.com/Chesapeake and twomaidscleaning.com/Virginia Beach. And then also our beach hospitality business is beachhospitalityva.com. And we're here in Virginia Beach, and we service the entire South Side. And we also do free cleanings for people battling cancer. So if you know anybody who's struggling with that, you can go to cleaningforareason.org, put their information in, nominate us as the cleaning company to service them, and we will give them free cleanings, 2 free cleanings. And we do it willingly, openly, and we don't say no to anybody unless they're outside of our area. And if we're going to say no, we're going to find somebody who's going to say yes.
Coach.
I don't know how we can end it any more positive than that. Cleaning for a reason. That's fantastic.
Yes, cleaning for a reason, and I'd shown that before. I don't think I have that anymore in my files. It only let me keep so many.
I'd forgotten about it, but that was one of the first things you told me after you met him. And
what's another one of those free services that it's just not promoted enough for people to know and really take. And hopefully, my friend. So I had a friend his wife is battling breast cancer, and so he had, I think, reached out. I told him after you had shared, I'm like, hey man, like this will at least take this off your plate. Like, at least
big
do
deal.
this.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's
imagine trying to get well and having to look around your house and say, but I got to do this too. We'll take care of it.
Yes. Yeah. So cleaning for a reason. Reach out, guys. And Two Maids. Again, if you're in the South Virginia Beach area, be sure to reach out to Lee. You know where to find him. Lee, thank you so much, man. This was awesome. I can't wait. Me and Coach will break this down on Thursday. So Thursday, y'all, if you want to hear us break down, Coach, there's so much gold with Lee. You got things going right, man. I'm so glad I was able to connect with you. So glad you're a part of BNI. I think he's a testament of what BNI can do, what networking can do, y'all. If you're feeling lost, you're kind of my journey, and I'll share this with you because just in case you don't get to catch it on Thursday. But COVID was my kind of lost, and I needed like-minded people like you talked about. So COVID was when I left BNI because it went to virtual, and this was not personal enough for me. Now obviously I've become a little more okay with this, but I was not. And so I just stopped, and I felt very lost during that time. And it was literally as COVID started to kind of free up, I looked at Maggie and I said, I got to go back to BNI. And so that was literally the first thing I did. And it was kind of an avalanche that led to the other podcasts and that stuff. But I believe wholeheartedly Lee is a great testament to BNI, just getting with like-minded people, y'all. You need to surround yourself with those to support you on this journey. It is your own gift that God gave you to and your own path, but you don't have to do it totally alone. You can have people around you kind of helping you through that journey, and maybe find a second business like Lee did. Coach, I can't wait to break that down too, because that is genius. I'm so glad you found that little nugget and took advantage of that. The Airbnb, guys, if you have an Airbnb in Virginia Beach area, or you're thinking of one, because let me tell you, there's a ton and they're for sale.
I'm your guy.
He's your guy. Reach out to Lee. It's a great area to have one. So again, Lee, thank you, Coach. This was awesome.
Yep.
Until Thursday, y'all. Remember, keep feeding the good wolf.
I'm always on the red eye. This time around, it's not even about getting paid. I'm just